Greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. I just literally thought that I came very close to getting my ass beat by a Toyota. I'm in a Chevy Silverado, the 2015. You can't see it, but there's this, you can hear all the mud coming off my tires. There's this big hill over here, really steep, and it's been raining all night. Yesterday, I took my niece's Toyota four-wheel drive and we managed to get up the hill. So today I thought Charlie and I would try it in my truck. I was getting my ass kicked. I don't have the right tires on it, so I was like spinning my tires, you know, a quarter of the way up the hill. So finally I had to back it down, put it four-wheel drive low and attack it, but I did kick its ass. Anyways, this video is going to be a little bit of a departure from my normal I Hate Hillary stuff. You know, the holidays always get me to thinking, and I'm sort of a reflective guy anyways. You may have picked up on that. So erase all your politics from your mind right now and think about the Hubble telescope. I know it's completely unlike me. As far as you know, actually, this is one of my favorite topics. Okay, so the Hubble telescope, and I'm no expert, so I'm paraphrasing all my knowledge, and I may be off technically, but you'll get the picture. Hubble telescope is out in space, and you know, it's a big ordeal and an expensive ordeal to realign it. In other words, if they're looking at a certain focal point in space and they decide they want to, you know, switch it around, you know, 30 degrees to the left and shoot something else, that requires the firing of rockets, you know, like little not boosters, but little like retro rockets on the sides to align it. You know, and so it's a complicated task, and like I said, it costs money. And so, as I understand it, the scientists and the astronomers who want to have access to the Hubble, let's say you're a professor or something at some university, and you want to have access to it because you got something you want to look at. You know, it's like almost like a bidding process. People have to wait in line for you know, I think years to get their turn at the helm there, as far as to decide what, you know, coordinate they're going to focus on. And so, you know, people will generally say, well, I want to look at the you know, the Crab Nebula, or I want, and then they do that, or I want to do this, take a close look at Jupiter, or I want to look at one of the moons of Jupiter. So this one team, as I understand it, basically were sitting around as they were getting closer to their time, and they collectively opted to really take a great risk, as some of the other astronomers saw it as a great risk, and they decided that they would aim the Hubble at one of the darkest, blackest, emptiest spots in the sky and see what the heck was out there. And you know, you only get one shot at it. If it turns out that you get nothing but blackness, you know, you got to get back in line, I guess, for another 5 years or more. So they ended up doing this. They positioned the Hubble at the darkest, blackest, emptiest spot in space that nobody had ever bothered to look at. And again, these aren't exact figures, but this is how I understand it. Basically, they're looking at a chunk of the sky, you know, possibly, you know, 5 inches in you know, the field of view. An inch here equates to thousands and thousands, if not millions of miles in space. You know what I'm saying? If you hold your thumb up to the night sky, and the part that your thumbnail's covering is, you know, millions of light years across. So they did that, and they left the aperture on the Hubble open for 3 days. So you can imagine it's collecting all of the light and everything, whatever light there is, although you couldn't see any with the naked eye. And on the end of the 3rd day, they went ahead and took a look at what they developed, and you can see this. In fact, I'll post it. I'll find it and plop it on right about now with some cool music. Okay, so actually, I'm probably talking over the picture now. That's how I'm planning it in my mind here as I drive. Each dot of light that you see would be awesome and be a miracle if those were stars. But they're not stars. It would be a miracle if they were planets, but they're not planets. Each dot of light that you see is an entire solar system. I'm sorry, an entire galaxy. Okay, I'm driving here, so forgive me. So yeah, each little dot of light that you see is a galaxy. Now, I want you to think about that as you look at this picture. Within each of those galaxies, how many suns are there, and how many planets exist within each one of those dots? And since we know this is only like a 2 or 3, 4 inch span of the night sky, that means there are billions and billions of possibilities in terms of where you could aim this telescope and come up, you know, with the same image. And so when you look at it like that and you realize that those are galaxies, each with unknown amount of planets and each with unknown amount of habitable planets, I mean, the odds of there not being life out there are just off the charts. Of course there's life out there, probably in various stages. There's probably, you know, their version of the Stone Age. There's probably beings out there within certain galaxies that are you know, crawling around eating their version of ants, you know, or eating vegetation, and eventually maybe they'll progress. And there's probably, on the other end of the spectrum, there's probably intelligent life out there that's advanced so far that they've evolved out of their bodies and they're just orbs of energy. You know, who knows? There's anything's conceivable when you look at the magnitude of this picture. It's my favorite picture, by the way, of all times. And now that comes to the crux of the conversation here. Think about the biggest worry that you have, the thing that's on your mind more often than not. To some of you, it's ISIS. To some of you, it's you just found out your wife is cheating on you. To some of you, you just found out your husband's not being faithful to you. You got a kid that's a complete screw up, and you know he's in and out of jail, or you know she ran away from home, and you know your neighbor looks at you weird and doesn't wave at you anymore, and so you know you sit there and you grit your teeth and you think, what an asshole. Or here it was Christmas and you are financially in dire straits, and it's all you can do to keep lights on. So you know you certainly couldn't spoil your kids with lavish gifts and you know that kind of thing, and so you're feeling bitter and guilty, and you know that, you know, just that kind of thing. Or your boss is a total prick. That's a good one, and that's a common one. You know, your boyfriend or your girlfriend's not living up to your expectations, or you've been married for a long time and you're bored with your wife and you think you're missing out. You know, you're bored with your husband and you think that the grass has got to be greener. You know, you just got to go out there and sample something different to get some excitement back in your life. And now compare those, whatever you chose, whatever the issue is that's on your mind most, that's in a negative, you know, that's negative, that's on your mind. In your mind, put that on a table next to the picture that we just talked about. They're all, the items on both tables are real, you know. I mean, unless we're living in a holographic universe and this is all some sort of literally like a computer matrix, which is possible, I guess. Those galaxies are, in fact, out there. And your wife is, in fact, banging the next door neighbor or whatever's going on. Or you hate your job and you know they're getting ready to cut back, and you know you're thinking, holy shit, you know I'm too old I don't have enough money to retire, but you know blah blah blah. How am I going to get another job? Those are all real things, and I'm not trying to downplay them because they're important things. Because no matter how esoteric we get, we still have to, at the end of the day, we got to have electricity and food to eat and a roof over our head. So I don't mean to minimize life and life's challenges, but I would like you to take a moment and try and keep them in perspective. How important are our biggest worries, our biggest concerns, our biggest problems in the grand scheme of things? And when you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, just so much complexity in life itself. You know, I mean, this is nothing new that I'm contemplating life. I mean, since the first caveman had a full stomach and was sitting around a fire, you know, that's how everybody, and it came up with their various versions of gods and the sun god and blah blah blah, and you know, my imaginary friend's better than your imaginary friend, so I'm gonna go kill all your people. And I'm not downplaying, you know, people's religious beliefs, but what I am saying is, I think that all of us, certainly myself included, but I think all of us put way too much weight and give way too much credence to things that in the long run, you know, somebody once said, take your biggest problem and ask yourself, you know, in 5 years, are you even going to remember this problem? Is it going to even matter? You know, I've been through some humongous nightmares that, you know, by anybody's standards suck. I mean, I lost a 20-year marriage and access to my family, my kids, and, you know, was as low as I could possibly get, and now I'm happier than I've ever been in my entire life. And it doesn't have to do with the Hubble picture, but a lot of it has to do with trying to think and put those negative things in place, you know, in the proper place, in the proper context of life. You know, if you really stop and listen to the dialogue that continuously goes on in your mind, some of it would be funny if it wasn't so powerful, you know. Fuck, I'm an idiot. God damn it, why did I do that? You know, fucking bitch, man. I swear to God, man, I never should have married her. Look how fat she is. You know, life sucks, man. I mean, the neighbor's got a new boat, a new RV, and this and that and the other thing, and here I'm getting ready to get laid off, and I can barely keep the lights on. You know what, man? Why do we allow those kind of thoughts? Or even stressing out about this whole ISIS thing, you know? I mean, I'm not saying that it's not important. It is important. It's the existence of our country. But you know what? Every single generation, without exception, has had its trials and tribulations. I mean, we've talked about this before. You know, I mean, can you imagine living... I was talking to my dad just yesterday about this. Can you imagine living during the Civil War? What that must have been like, you know, to... I mean, nations seceding from... I mean, who knows? We may see it again. I hope not, but... Look back on when people think about the you know, don't just think about it, but really dig into it. Imagine leaving your family and putting your farm equipment down and going and picking up a rifle and shooting at other Americans because the country was divided. You know, I'm sure that caused a lot of sleepless nights and was stressful on people, you know. So my point is, you know, during World War II, all of this stuff, man, I mean, there's always been something to worry about, but I guess what I'm asking you to do, and I'm through asking you, I'm reminding myself to not give so much power to things that, A, we can't really control. Yeah, if your wife is a slut and is going to go out and bang everything that moves, you married the wrong woman. If your husband's got a girlfriend that's, you know, young and stupid and cute, and you're, you know, like any other woman would be after having 3 or 4 kids or 2 kids or aged, you know, if he's willing to give that up, then you're the lucky one. You're the winner. Yeah, because you got rid of somebody that wasn't authentic enough and understanding enough to realize that you marry people for what's in their mind and in their heart, not what's in their wallet and, you know, in their waist size. So, yeah, I guess I could just ramble on, and that's what I'm doing. To sum this up, put your problems in perspective. Imagine that picture, and imagine that somewhere in that galaxy, imagine Earth was out there. Actually, it would be behind the camera probably, but the sizes are the same. And so you drill into the, you know, you're fast forwarding through space and you come into these giant galaxies, and you drill into one of these galaxies, and then you drill into a planetary system, and then you drill into a circle that's floating that's blue and it's Earth, and you drill in and there's this big giant landscapes filled with, you know, millions of people, and somewhere on there somebody's like gnashing their teeth because they can't go buy a boat, or, you know, they got an argument with their wife last night about something stupid, you know, and they're contemplating suicide because of this, that, or the other thing. We all were put here for a reason, and just because we may not understand that reason doesn't make it any less valid. So my mission is to ride it out as long as I can, learn as much as I can, hope I'm on the right track, and the way to do that is to always ask yourself questions. You know, am I on the right track? Am I giving the right amount of mental energy to and spiritual energy to things that just really don't matter and won't matter. And next year I want to remember the problem that I'm so pissed off about now. Sorry to go crazy and wax philosophical on you, but I just was thinking and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you're still having a great Christmas. It's the day after. And I wish you guys all a very happy New Year. And yeah, that's it. Charlie and LMS Tactical out.